What up, everybody? It is Hump Day. That means we are over the Carolina Panthers loss this past week. It's done. We're not talking about it anymore. It's time to get over that damn hump.
Yeah.
Of a close loss there. Billy, what's up? How's your week been, buddy?
It's been better than last week. No hurricane.
Yes. Thoughts are still with everybody being affected by that. Just our area here in Greenville is very familiar with hurricanes, and we were extremely lucky on this one. 45 minutes southeast, and all around us was absolutely hammered. Wilmington going through a lot right now. Thoughts are with everybody there, and we'll keep praying for y'all and everything. But we're here going to talk about this Week 3 matchup with the Bengals. You know, really want to get back to some winning ways right here before the bye week. Still got some guys out, Billy. And let's talk about those injuries and go ahead and get this thing hit off. Denor seriously went out last week with a concussion. He's still in the protocol. Nothing's changed there. Did not practice. Dante Jackson did not practice. Has not practiced yet this week, but all accounts he feels like he's going to be ready for Sunday, which is good news. We'll see how the coaches play with that. We got a pretty big receiver coming into town, so it'd be nice to have all hands on deck.
Yes.
Trey Turner, concussion protocol as well, did not practice. Curtis Samuel, the guy we've been watching since it was announced that he had a heart procedure, though the coaching staff has not yet confirmed this. This was kind of brought up today by Jordan Rodriguez. They haven't really confirmed. All they said is he had a medical issue.
Yeah. And
that's been the word that Rap Sheet put out there, saying it was a heart procedure, but it wasn't anything. It was stressed that it was minor. So he was supposed to just be out week 1. Here we are going into week 3. He still hasn't. Now, Rivera did say he's gotten some workouts in with trainers, which is good news, but he hasn't been on the field yet. I wouldn't expect him to be here. They could be holding him out and giving him through the bye week next week, which I'm fine with. Look, if it's a hard issue, you need to take that seriously. Depending on the severity.
Depending on, because what was it? Who's it? Dr. Chow.
Yeah.
He said he would only be out. He wouldn't even miss a week if that was the procedure he had. But we don't know the severity of it, if he's healing correctly. But it is his heart, and I would hate to bring somebody with a heart issue to the field and something really bad happen.
Yeah, you don't want to wish that on anybody or see anything like that happen. So that's going to be something to watch. Like I said, I feel like they're just going to hold him out through the bye week at this point, and that's fine. If we can, we should still be able to go in there with the guys we have and win a game anyway. We really could have won last week. Defense kind of let us down more so than not. But anyway, moving on from him, Demir Bird was back in limited action today, so that's good news. Got one of the two speedsters back on the field. And that's really kind of wraps it up majorly for the Panthers. Obviously, Greg Olsen's still out and other guys on the offensive line. Joe Mixon is also out for the Cincinnati Bengals, and defensive end Michael Johnson is out for them as well. Joe Mixon, the running back, got off to a good start in week 1, injured in week 2. Or he didn't play at all in week 2, did he? He's getting his knee scoped. Had his knee scoped.
I think he injured in week 2. Okay. Because I have him in fantasy.
I think he started. He wasn't in there long.
He wasn't in there long. But you've got Bernard backing him up, and he's
former Carolina Tar Heel.
He's stout.
Yeah, I mean, he's still good. And he kind of very similar to last week with Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman being out. Obviously, Joe Mixon isn't a power back as much as Freeman is, but Giovanni Bernard, very versatile, can kill you in the passing game as well, something dangerous, and we saw that firsthand with Tevin Coleman last week through the air and on the ground. So, I mean, that's, again, they got another versatile back to watch out for. And then Michael Johnson, one of their stud defensive ends, will be out as well with a knee injury. Same with him. But they have a pretty good guy we're going to talk about here shortly, backing him up, second-year player. So that pretty much wraps it up with injuries. I saw somebody, I think it was Antoine Davis, jumping in the comments already, asking when we're going to approach the depth in the safety department. And it is starting to be an issue. Denor, seriously, this is his second concussion in a matter of a month.
Yep.
It'll be his second missed game. No, it'll be his first missed game, but he missed preseason. That's right. So this is starting to become an issue. There are still guys out there that should be relatively cheap. And obviously the top one is going to be Eric Reed. And at this point, you've got to think that they're looking at somebody to bring in there for depth because, I mean, you got Rashawn Golden, the guy you're hoping that will step up. But outside of that, I mean, you got Colin Jones, and we've talked about this. I don't think anybody loves seeing Colin Jones at that safety position starting. No. And he's a hell of a special teams guy, great locker room guy. That's fine, and he does have those breakout plays. It seems like every once in a while, but he's caught out of position sometimes. It seems so. We are going to need to look there. Obviously, my top pick would be a guy like Eric Reed. Obviously, there's issues surrounding why he isn't signed with the team right now. Supposedly was supposed to be flying to Tennessee and during the preseason to potentially sign. Couldn't catch a flight was what was said. He missed his flight. Another guy got there. Vaccaro got signed, missed out. That's really the only contract option he's had. So, and with the Carolina Panthers having David Tepper now as new owner, he's already kind of voiced his opinion backing, these players using their rights and all this stuff. And we're not going to get into the politics side of things, but this organization isn't ran by Jerry Richardson anymore, and I feel like that's something that David Tepper would not be worried about in the least bit. He's shown support to guys like Torrey Smith and Thomas Davis and other guys on this Panthers team. So we'll see we'll see the route it goes, and we'll see the severity of Denore's seriously. Sometimes these guys are put in protocols because they have to be.
Yeah.
But it seemed he was pretty shook up last week.
Yeah, dude, it's to the point now, 2 in a month. I don't see if he gets another one, he's not going to be on the roster by the end of the season. Like who,
Searcy?
Searcy.
Yeah, this is troubling. Like, and at this point, it's not even like a productivity issue for me. It's a dude, stay like
have life. You have a life afterwards.
Exactly. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. And it was kind of the same thing with Luke when he got his second concussion in 2 years. I was like, ooh, and he's been fine since. So,
or maybe Luke needs to get him a Q collar.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
so.
It seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah,
find some wood to knock on over there. But so that wraps up pretty much the injuries. You got to think they're going to look at safety depth at some point. I guess we'll find that out. But moving on, Billy. Let's look at some. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and jump into position battles. I was going to start fantasy thing, but it's a little early. We're going to go ahead and knock out some position matchups and stuff. Carolina rushing last week had over 100 yards. They're ranked 4th in the league, I believe, right now offensively and running the football. That's good. Always kind of a Carolina Panthers thing, really. It's no surprise there. That's what Ron Rivera wants. That's kind of Norv Turner's career has been built off that. But we're going up against another stout front, really, with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's led by defensive tackle Geno Atkins and defensive end Carlos Dunlap. The Bengals rank 3rd in the NFL, allowing just 70 yards per game on the ground.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty damn. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. They also haven't allowed a rush longer than 14 yards. That's pretty good as well. And this, I believe, if I can remember, I didn't have this pulled up and I didn't mark it down, but I believe that was like the shortest run in NFL through the first 2 weeks right now. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I looked at it.
Who were their first? I haven't looked at their schedule prior.
Oh, let's see. Who did they play? Who did they just beat last week? I couldn't tell you. You have to look.
I pulled their schedule
up. But yeah, so stout front anyway. Like I said, Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, running against this Panthers rushing offense, and an offensive line that we've talked about it is still pieced together. Taylor Moton still at the right tackle, moved back over to right tackle. Chris Clark over at left tackle. Came in with 3 days practice, hadn't played a down of football since October, and did pretty well considering, damn well really. I mean, if we're going to be honest, he did really good considering he's had no time with his team and was having to ask about plays walking up to the line to Greg Lane Rotten. So did well, struggled against speed rush and Tack McKinley. He could have issues again against this guy, but I kind of have, with this one, I kind of have to give this position edge to Cincinnati with just the way the shape of our offensive line right now. And you'd like to see, obviously we'd like to see C.J. Anderson get involved a little bit more early.
They played the Colts and the Ravens.
Well, Colts, yeah.
Colts week 1, they were getting it together with Andrew Luck again.
Yeah. And I think they lost that game, isn't that right?
The Bengals are 2-0.
Oh, they're 2-0? Okay.
They've scored 34 points both games.
Oh, there you go.
Let me take that. Their opponents have both scored 23 points in both games.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, that's an easy average to figure out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I'd give the edge to the Bengals front. What I mean, who do you see?
I mean,
this is kind of
right now. I mean, the offensive line for us hasn't looked bad.
Yeah, it's not as bad as we would have expected it. Yeah.
Not as bad as we expected it. I would give the edge to the rush D.
Bengals.
To the Bengals, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I already agreed to that, but I have to boo us for taking that. And then moving on, let me check y'all's comments right quick. Getting caught up and blowing through this thing. Everybody saying what's up, what's up, what's up. There's a lot of what's ups right now, Billy. That's good.
Yeah. Hello to my mother.
Oh, what's up, mother?
Yeah, she had a rough time in the hurricane also.
Yes, she did. Yes, that was she lost her front porch during the hurricane.
Yep.
So moving on to the next position battle. Bengals pass defense versus the Panthers pass offense. This is something the Panthers could actually take advantage of. Potentially, once again, talking about that offensive line, the pass rush of the Bengals could really affect this game, much like the Falcons did last week. The Bengals ranked 30th against the pass through the first 2 weeks of the season. They've allowed 332 yards per game through the air. That's a lot. It's like the exact opposite of their rush defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and looking at that, I would give the edge to Cam and to our receivers, and hopefully DJ Moore will have a good amount of those yards.
Will be involved more?
Yes.
Yeah. More, please. Geno Atkins right now ranking 3rd. We talked about him just a minute ago. Defensive end. Just got a big contract within him, or defensive tackle, sorry. He's right now ranks 3rd in NFL with 3 sacks through the first 2 weeks. The other defensive end I kind of hinted at earlier is second-year player Carl Lawson, who backs up Michael Johnson, who was out. He's actually on their depth chart is listed as the 3rd stringer behind Jordan Willis, I think is his name, right?
Yep.
Carl Lawson led all rookies last year with 8.5 sacks. Pretty good for a rookie because defensive end is normally something that, outside of your top guys like a Myles Garrett or somebody coming into the league, Khalil Mack, it's typically a position that takes some time to get used to in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's weird that after a year like that, he would be on the 3rd string.
Yeah, pretty strange. But with Michael Johnson out, I'm sure he'll be getting his. It's
probably rotation.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be getting a share of opportunities. Also, the Bengals drafted Jesse Bates, safety. This is a guy out of, I think it was Wake Forest at college. The Panthers showed a lot of interest in the kid in this past year's draft. A lot of fans wanted him as well. Last year he had an interception. Last week he had an interception against the Ravens. He's been playing pretty well, so that'll be something to watch out for in that secondary for Cam if he finally starts to take the deep shots. And we've got to see some more of the deep shots, I think. And then Devin Funchess, number 1 receiver, had 77 yards last week. Overall, statistically, a pretty solid game. Didn't have a touchdown, but 77 yards is solid. Had a couple of key drops, though, that we talked about, and a lot of people were upset with. Not going to hold it against him quite yet. He hasn't, been as productive as we were hoping through the first 2 weeks, but he's going to be going up against Drake or Patrick, most likely, depending on what they game plan for in this. But I would imagine that's who he's going to be covering, Funchess. And will DJ Moore be involved? Curtis Samuel's out. Demir Bird was in limited practice. We don't know if he's going to play yet. But if he's in there, are they going to take some shots deep? I feel like they'll probably use Bird more in a special teams role and try to maybe get DJ Moore more involved.
And everybody talks about DJ Moore 51-yard touchdown last week. The knee-jerk reaction is to give him more touches. Yeah, I want him to have more touches, but that 51-yard touchdown, to me, wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
They're playing prevent. They're playing the sideline. The middle is wide open, and he did get touched. Do I think he can be productive if we give him more touches? Yes. But
You have to get him in the game more. He's only had 17 snaps each game in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, you have to get him in the game, but I don't think that he's going to be the, Superman.
Well,
that everybody thinks
Superman in Charlotte. Billy, come on now.
Okay, he's not going to be the next superhero of the Panthers. And that's what I've seen on a lot of social media is he had a 51-yard touchdown. Okay, did you see what the defense was doing?
Yeah, and see, the thing about that play, though, is they actually ran that play in the first half, and Cam took the deep shot to Torrey Smith, and then Norv saw on the play later on in the game that that DJ Moore was wide open across the middle. They ran it again. Cam hit Moore wide open, and he did have the run after the catch.
Yep.
But this could be the thing that sparks DJ Moore. I've heard rumbles, and I don't know how true it is about nerves kind of being an issue with DJ Moore, and this is really what worried me when we drafted him. Everybody was talking about Steve Smith. Steve Smith was talking about him replacing Steve Smith in that franchise, and I'm sitting here like he doesn't have that dog attitude that you had. Like, I'm going to go out and do everything I need to do, and I'm not saying like he doesn't prep, he doesn't take preparation seriously. Yeah. He does all that stuff, and I think he's going to be really good for this franchise. I just don't know where he's at right now. But I feel like that 51-yard touchdown, he looked much more into the game and wanting to get out there and do some stuff after that touchdown late. And he was clearly upset after the game. Talking to reporters and on the field, he was just down. He was upset. This could be the thing that kicks him over the edge and gets him into it.
And that would, you're worried about his head. Hopefully he puts that behind him.
Yeah.
It's not something that messes with his psyche, and he's, then going to make a bunch of mental errors because he did beat himself up.
Yeah.
It was a pass that got lucky and hit him on the ground. I mean, you can't beat yourself up. Could he have had it? Sure. Am I mad at him? He didn't? No.
Yeah. Cam took that final shot to tie the game to him. He was in triple coverage. The ball did bounce between like two defenders' hands and get knocked around in kind of like his lower leg area. Dude, I'm not holding that against you. Like, that's a tough catch. If you'd have came up with it, honestly, we thought he did it.
Yeah.
Watching it live, but I'm not holding that against him. Keep your head up, go back out there and do it, and keep proving. Ron Rivera actually talked about this week in a press conference. We got that little bit right here.
With DJ, the yards after catch is something that was really attractive during the pre-draft process. When you see that finally on display yesterday, does it at all alter the plan for him as far as integrating him?
Well, again, I think what it is it's about getting to know and understand our guys and what they're capable of. I think we've always felt that about DJ, and this was an opportunity. He showed us. So, again, I think a lot of it does have to do with the play call, but also with the decisions made by the quarterback. We ran that same exact play earlier, and it was one of the deep shots that Cam took. Now you come back, and obviously we saw it. Coach Turner, hey, let's run this and let's look for this, and that's exactly what we got out of it.
Yeah, so, obviously Ron Rivera saying whatever all the fans want to hear right now, kind of, laying it on, and even kind of brings up the quarterback thing, and they went right back to it, and Cam hit him. But my thing is like, you took this kid with your first round draft pick. You talk about his run after catch ability. The only things I've really seen the first 2 weeks on his 17 snaps in each game has been end around, which is fine. I like that play and different motions and stuff, and then like tunnel screens. Get this guy away from tunnel screens. Like, I'm not saying he's a huge deep threat. He's not blazing fast. He ran like a 4.4 something 40, but so he can get down the field, but let him get separation. Try to scheme him open across the middle somewhere, much like he did in that 51-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
that's just what I want to see more of. But he's got to be on the field more to get those opportunities, and we'll see if this week is the breaking point. Maybe they finally push him over the edge a little bit. I think Rivera also in another part of that press conference hinted around that him having to play special teams with Curtis Samuel and Damiere Byrd out is also hurt that some. But in my opinion, well, I say this, then you have Brenton Burson back there or somebody catching punts. But you kind of it's a hard balance, I guess, in that aspect. But I just think you have to give him more opportunities.
If it's not him, it's McCaffrey, and then you're wearing him out on special teams.
Yeah, and Pat Widener right now on Facebook Live commenting saying we shouldn't have been in the position for Moore to make that catch, and he's absolutely right. It shouldn't have been on him at all. So I'm not upset with him. Pedro Barr saying we got to make our opportunities count on offense, defense, and special teams. Yes, and the offense had a very slow third quarter last week, so it's going to be something to watch. And this defense, the Bengals defense is going to be not any easier, if not even more tougher. And I think our buddy over at Tony over at Cat Chronicles is watching live on YouTube, was saying 6 turnovers in 2 games, 3 defensive linemen on pace for 80 hurries each this season. I believe, I'm pretty sure he's talking about the Bengals. Yeah. I mean, that's just another stat that kind of proves earlier what we were going with. It's scary to think about against this offensive line who did better than we thought these first 2 weeks, but until they really gel and we see what we got in a few weeks, maybe get some guys back, it's definitely worrisome for Cam and that offensive line. So I guess we're giving who are you going to give the edge to? Our pass offense versus their pass defense?
Their pass defense.
Their pass defense. Okay. Yeah. And again, this is kind of what we reverted to for the we talked about it. We didn't get to the Falcons preview show because of Hurricane Florence, but we had talked about it when we were prepping for that show. And even, this is the pass rush is something that bothered me and is really the sole reason I felt like Carolina would lose the game in Atlanta. And it definitely played a factor. The defense did not play as well as we'd hoped. That hurt. But, yeah, I mean, just the turnover calls alone and the sacks and the pressure they can get. I have to give it to, we're realists here. I'm not here to, sugarcoat anything with this Panthers team right now. I have to give the slight edge to them. If Norv Turner can scheme something for, quick, I hate to say quick because I want to see them get – they haven't taken deep shots. I'm sitting over here, screaming free Cam because they didn't take any deep shots. I looked at the next-gen stats. Cam didn't throw a ball. I think he had 1 or 2 balls thrown over 15, 20 yards.
And did you watch – I know you watched the All-22 film usually. Mm-hmm. Was there anything open? I haven't watched it. Was there anything open or is it good coverage?
Yes, but it was open and Cam was being pressured.
Yeah.
Particularly with the drive they scored a touchdown on early on, Cam dropped back. Ian Thomas was streaking down the seam wide open. I mean, this was like a classic Greg Olsen Cam hookup. Was wide open. It would have been an easy touchdown. I think they were on the Falcons 40 or something. And Cam gets pressure from the left side. And this is the play where he has to run up and Vic Beasley breaks free on the right and Cam has to kind of dive just to get a yard. Ian Thomas is wide open down the seam, but Cam was getting pressured. He has to step up or he's taking a sack or the balls get knocked into the air for a potential pick. These are the things that really hurt. And if Cam could just have a second longer, there were times he had plenty of, a lot of seconds back there.
And that's what I don't know if he has the trust in those wide receivers because McCaffrey had 14 catches. He checked down to right a bunch.
Yep.
So I don't think he has the trust in those deep balls that are open yet. And hopefully that comes soon.
Yeah. Checking y'all's comments right here on Facebook Live. Pedro Barr talking about Luke missing tackles. We need those stops. Yeah, we're going to hit on that a little bit too. Pedro Barr again. We can't allow explosive runs or passes, but I did like that pick by our rookie talking about Dante Jackson. And Dan Millis saying our defense was pathetic Sunday. Yeah, it was not the best. But like we said, Billy and I giving the slight edge here to the Bengals pass defense. I just kind of feel like, especially with Curtis Samuel out, I really want to see this offense when he comes back and gets rotated in there. And then moving on, Panthers rush defense. We're getting on the defensive side of the ball for the Panthers now. Panthers rush defense versus the Bengals rushing offense. Panthers last week dropped the NFL's active streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher for 21 straight games. Tevin Coleman of the Atlanta Falcons last week broke that in their offensive line. Giovanni Bernard up now. What are you thinking?
If our defense plays like they did last week, I'm giving the edge to the Bengals. I think there's going to be a bounce back. I think Luke was and Luke was part of that.
Yeah,
collapse. He missed a few tackles. Of course, you can't be perfect, but there were some big misreads and missed tackles. With Bernard in, and I'm looking at their stats from last week, Joe Mixon had 84 yards on 21 carries before he went out, and then Bernard had 27.
Yeah, so
27 yards. So they got. They're averaging four yards a gain.
Yeah.
I would give it to our rush D.
Yeah. I'm definitely going Panthers rush defense here. I'm not hitting the panic button yet on this defense. No. They missed a couple of things last week, but they just got off a 21-game streak, longest active in the NFL, for not allowing a 100-yard rusher. I'm not flipping on this defense quite yet. They still have one of the best front sevens in the league. Yeah, they made a couple of mistakes last week. I'm gonna trust Eric Washington and mainly these veterans guys like Luke and even Shaq Thompson and some of these guys to correct those mistakes. But Eric Washington had a question about that in the press conference too, and kind of hit on it as well. So we'll play that for you right now.
Questions.
Coach, we just spoke with Ron about what some of the issues might have been. He said mental, physical errors on both sides. I'm wondering what you saw in both of those categories.
Sure, that's consistent with what I saw, Jordan, and looking at the tape. There were some situations where we weren't exactly where we needed to be, whether it was an assignment issue or an issue related to technique. That's really consistent with what I saw. And there were occasions where we were able to overlap and mitigate some of the damage in terms of those things. And then against a good football team, credit to Atlanta, with the explosive backs and the offensive line that they have, they took advantage and exploited those things. We'll shore those things up, and we'll be ready to go. You'll see the Panthers defense that we're all accustomed to seeing.
See a lot of mental errors from this front seven. We're definitely not accustomed to having this type of conversation with you following a game.
Well, yeah, and you know what? Sometimes that happens, and I'm not going to dwell on it. We just had a fantastic meeting with the guys. The guys are very confident. They're able to look at and see from a man, and especially with the coaches, where the breakdowns were. We'll go back to work. The great thing is we don't have to make anything up. We go right back to how and what we measure our standards against, and that's our system. That's tackling, takeaway, red zone, and points, the things that determine games. We'll get those things fixed.
Eric.
So there you go, Eric Washington talking about the defenses, kind of 1 week lapse really last week. Mental, physical, Ron Rivera was kind of hitting on with them, and Eric Washington agreeing. And like I said, I'm not freaking out about this defense yet at all. So I'm definitely giving an edge to the Carolina Panthers defense here. I think they hold this team. Week 1 I called them holding Ezekiel Elliott under 75 yards. They held him to 69. I don't think, and I hope not anyway, I don't think they'll get the Bengals to get 75 yards on the ground this game. And anyway, this is a good transition because my biggest concern in this game is a certain wide receiver who plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that guy is A.J. Green, and he's just a monster.
Well, we saw last week what Bradbury can do to Julio Jones, so we can hope that he'll do it to A.J. Green. And if we have Bradbury doing this to Julio, we have Bradbury doing this to A.J. Green, he keeps it up. We have another Josh Norman on our hands. Potentially. And
Josh Norman, he was really good with interceptions and stuff too as well. So, but the thing with AJ Green last week, he scored 3 touchdowns. If Bradbury's covering him, it's going to be outside. Typically anyway. But AJ Green scored all 3 of those touchdowns coming out the slot, and we know who's been running the slot. A certain Captain Munnerlyn, who has been very inconsistent at it as well. And that would worry me. Obviously, they could switch that, and I'm sure they'll game plan for that because I know they saw, number one, it's A.J. Green. They're going to game plan for him anyway. But if they're going to watch the tape from last week and say, oh, he dominated in the slot, we're going to have to see what we do about that. But yes, last week James Bradbury held Julio Jones for 5 catches, 64 yards. So, and if we, Colin Hoggard from the Wright Report said this. He said if we had won that game, everybody would be talking about what James Bradbury did. Well, I'm still talking about what James Bradbury did. I'm not taking anything away from that. But if you can't stop the run in the NFL, you're in a world of trouble. And Julio really hasn't done great under Steve Sarkisian as offensive coordinator anyway, but that's neither here nor there right now. So Panthers pass defense. Also, Matt Ryan didn't get hit like one time last week from pass rush,
and that's crazy.
That's
what a lot of people were talking about on social media this week. Is Peppers played like a human, like he was just on the field, just another player. He didn't make any impact, which is crazy for any to say anything about any of the people on our defense, because usually somebody is, and I just don't think Atlanta's line was that good. It was just the defense was awful. But looking at A.J. Green's stats last week, he'd had the 3 touchdowns on 5 receptions with only 69 yards. So we're like in 15 yards in the red zone, he's lined up in the slot. You know it's going to go to him. their leading receiver was Tyler Boyd with 91 yards on 6 catches.
And he's a guy that I would watch out for just because nobody ever talks about him. But he had a really good but he had a solid rookie year coming out. And he could be a guy, again, like Calvin Ridley was for the Falcons last week, making those big plays. And that could be Tyler Boyd this week. So he's somebody you have to account for. A.J. Green's obviously numero uno over there.
But it looks like if he lines up in the slot in the red zone, it's going to him.
Yeah, just need to be on the watch for that. Vander McMillian, Bradbury doesn't seem like a J-No to me personally. Now, Dante Jackson, I'd like to see how he works out. Yeah, I mean, obviously Jackson gets the comparison because he's got the trash talk, he's got the fun vibe, and he's playing his ass off right now. So, let's see. Peppers looked his age. Sad to say, Pat Widener talking about Julius Peppers, and he hasn't really played a lot of snaps either. They said they're still working him in. Hopefully that'll kind of work itself out. This Panthers pass rush on defense, though, he's got to get better this week. He's got to be better. Mario Addison, hopefully, to get there. Now, they had some interior pressure on Matt Ryan. It actually, somebody was talking about the Dante Jackson pick. I mean, it couldn't have got much. I mean, look, I'm happy about it, but the pick couldn't have got much easier.
Yeah.
I think it was Wes Horton came around the left side on one of the plays he was in for and was able to hit Matt Ryan or bump him, really. I guess it didn't get recorded as a hit. But he was able to get down on him, didn't sack him, but knocked the ball up in the air. That's what caused that ball to go short and high. So hopefully they can get to these guys this week. That's going to be getting Andy Dalton's going to be real key. You can't let any quarterback in the NFL just sit back there. I'd like to see more the interior pressure get back. KK was getting some interior pressure. Vernon Butler was actually getting some interior pressure early in the game. Then he just disappeared.
Yeah, and that was. I mean, because he had 2 of those balls where there should have been another interception, and we were in his lap at the beginning, but it was like we just laid down in the third quarter and just let him go all over us.
Yeah, hopefully see some changes there. Sean Mock, Peppers needs to get better. He needs to be on the field a little bit more too. He's still getting work back in. I'm not sure if that torn labrum surgery he had this offseason is playing a part or not. Kenneth Hilton, we need new defensive ends. I think we need some youth at defensive end, and some of the other ones that we tried to draft haven't worked out. Obviously, released Deshaun Hall, draft pick from last year, but I think you'll start seeing that be a pressing factor in next year's draft. So these guys, Mario Addison's still solid. Him and Julius Peppers had 11 sacks each last year. Not ready to flip the script on them quite yet either. It's only week 2, guys. Week 3. You got to remember. The sky is not falling quite yet.
Yeah.
If we had won, we'd be talking a little bit about this stuff, but most people would be like, "Hey, we're 2-0. No, we're doing this, we're doing that." The sky's not falling yet. I have to see this a couple of weeks in a row before I really start to panic and worry about this defense. I hope I can watch this game on the cruise ship I'll be on. My biggest concern is not being able to watch. Dan Mullis. Well, I hope you have fun on the cruise ship. Fox Sports Go app may have it. I don't know. I had to watch it on the website last week because of the stuff being out here. But so who are you giving the edge to in the Panthers secondary versus the passing offense for the Bengals?
Seeing what Bradbury did last week, I'll give it to our secondary.
Secondary.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like. Yeah. And I feel like the pass rush is gotta have to hit home this week. Like I said, those guys are they're gonna be just ready to come at the quarterback Andy Dalton this week. And I think Eric Washington won't be afraid to dial up some blitzes. I'm hoping this week. I'm not saying Steve Wilkes, guys, so calm down. I'm not saying let's blitz every time. But it was funny last week. I saw fans after the game. We didn't blitz. And last year, we got to stop blitzing. We got to stop blitzing. You have a guy like Julio Jones and the weapons the Falcons do. I mean, it's a tough matchup for us. I saw somebody else drop it in the Facebook comments earlier saying that the Falcons just match up tough against us, but the Bengals match up much better, and I agree. So that's going to be something to watch. But right now, we're going to jump into our fantasy segment. All right, Billy. Over and under for our fantasy outlook this week. Obviously, we're going to have our pretty regular guys here. Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, and then Devin Funchess, our number 1 receiver. And then for the Bengals, we got A.J. Green, Giovanni Bernard. Probably should have thrown maybe Tyler Boyd. I don't know if he really need to be in there or not. Cam Newton projected 20.19. Excuse me. Beard making me burp. Over under. Sorry, I didn't ask you.
I think he goes over. I think we're going to see him rush more. And it's not gonna be passing, it's gonna be rushing touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going over. I mean, I think he'll be able to get over more than 20. 0.19. I guess I need to throw that 0.19 in, because if he gets 0.18, somebody's going to jump down my throat. Yeah, I definitely think he'll get over that. 2 passing touchdowns and a couple hundred yards is going to solidify that. So we'll mark us both down for over there. Christian McCaffrey projected 21.12. Did you see what he had last week after a 100-yard receiving game? 14 catches. This is PPR, so that was full point PPR. That was 14 points. 100 yards. Yeah, he got over 20.
I stopped looking at his stats in fantasy once I couldn't get him. But the 21.12 is that is the Pittsburgh Diva Le'Veon Bell numbers.
Oh boy, firing it up.
Finish him.
I would say he's under this week.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. 21. Early on, I was really thinking he'd be able to hit these numbers. Right now, it's kind of been a running back by committee. I mean, Anderson's still getting mixed in there. They used Orma once or twice last week, and then obviously Cam's going to get his rushing as well. So unless we have to pass the ball to him like every down, like we did in the second half last week, I'm going to take the under there as well. This isn't. I mean, we're just agreeing right now. That's not very fun, Billy. Devin Funchess. I know this is a guy you were talking about this week. 8.71 is his projection.
That is crazy for a wide receiver 1 on a team to be projected.
The Panthers, man. This is my thing with Carolina, and I said it before the season. Cam is going to spread the ball like he always does. We don't really have, since Steve Smith, we don't have a guy that's going to go out there and get 100 yards a game. Now, 80 yards a game is good too. I mean, don't get me wrong. 77, whatever he had last week.
But that's for a wide receiver 1 on an NFL team in fantasy football, that is super low. I would say that he catches his passes this week, and he goes over.
Okay. So I think he has to have a touchdown to go over this week. Do I think he's going to get a touchdown is the question. And I'm going to say...
You think without a touchdown he won't go over?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because he'd have a few catches, and I'll take the over. 8 points is low. All he's got to do is get a touchdown.
This is full point PPR.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm going to take the over then, because all he really needs is the touchdown, and I mean that's not impossible for him. A couple catches and some yards. I'll take the over. Fine, Billy. Talk me into it. Twist my arm. I don't want to lose these picks against you. Moving on to the Bengals side of things, AJ Green projected 15.92. Over or under? Careful now. We're Panthers fans.
We are. He's not getting 3 touchdowns.
Well, no. God, I hope not.
I think he ends up with. I think he goes over. He ends up with 19.
Ooh, come on, man. No, I'm taking the under here. Under.
You think so?
Under. Under.
I don't think we don't let him in the end zone. We let him have yards. No end zone.
He's going under, Billy.
All right, go under.
He's going under.
Actually, I think I'm playing. I hope he goes under.
Yeah, you're probably playing Robbie. Yeah.
I am playing Robbie, and he's projected like 40 points more than me this week.
Yeah, you suck then. No, I'm just kidding. AJ Green under. Giovanni Bernard stepping in for Joe Mixon. I'm sure their third string running back will be in there some too, but Giovanni Bernard is projected 17.
Yeah.
That's a big under.
That's a big under for me. I
won't give him 12.
I have Joe Mixon in the league, and when I saw that I was like, what? Like, how? How do you go from second string in fantasy to now you're getting projected this? And I guess they based it on last week's offense, our defense last week.
Yeah.
He's going way under.
Well, and if they get behind, he could definitely get that because he'll be involved in that passing game underneath, trying to move the ball late if they get behind. Hopefully they are behind. I'm taking under there as well. And then our fantasy flyers for the week. Y'all let us know who your flyer would be. Surprise player, I guess, is really what it is. I'm taking DJ Moore. I feel like they've got to get him more involved this week. He's projected a 7.85 in fantasy this week, full PPR. I feel like he can get that. They have to give him more than 17 snaps. You just can't keep babying this guy, regardless of special teams or not. Get him in there, get the ball in his hands. Let's see what he can do. You spent the first round draft pick on him. You talked about his yak ability. Let's do it. Billy, who you got? Who are you taking?
I have Ian Thomas. He's projected 5.11 points this week. I think that once again he's going to catch his balls, and he's gonna be the replacement of Olsen. I mean, that's why we drafted him. Yeah. He's going to show that this week, and he's going to have a great game.
Jesse Baker up here saying Funchess is going to get in the end zone. I'm guessing he's talking about Funchess anyway. And I think you drafted him, Jesse, so I bet you are saying he's going to get in the end zone. Mike Strib saying they better stop him out of backfield. Talking about Bernard and Vander. This is what I was laughing at. Vander McMillian. My flyer would be Gano. I really hope not. Come on, man. You got to give us some. Some more love.
That is Carolina football.
Oh, man.
Stall in the red zone, kick a bunch of field goals.
Jesse,
I would hope not.
Jesse also commenting saying Jarius Wright is going to go off, and look, I'm down for that. Through 2 weeks, he's easily Carolina's best receiver right now. I'm a huge Jarius Wright fan. Love the signing. Really doing some work and key pickups for Cam there. I had a touchdown last week. And I'm sure a touchdown would put him over whatever his projection is as well. So I'm going to check YouTube, see if anybody's dropping some in there. Cam saying, you have a great show. Keep them coming. Appreciate it, buddy. Antoine Henderson moved over to YouTube. Saying he giving edge to the Bengals on one of those we were talking about. Cam says everyone wants to win, but I'm not seeing the urgency. And I know Antoine commented earlier, too, saying we don't make enough first downs to get everyone the ball when I was talking about playing the ball around. Yeah, well, I mean, the third quarter was really the only bad quarter last week from the Panthers offense. I mean, they drove the ball down the field the whole game with the exception of the third quarter. And late in the game, it was on C.J. Anderson, not Cam, to pick or anything. Yep. This isn't a fast-moving offense. We know this. It's a clock-managing, game-managing offense that every once in a while we hope is going to have some big plays break out. So, again, remember that. 2015 was the same way when we had the high-scoring offense. Defense played a huge part in that season as well with turnovers and short field. But, I'm not flipping on this team just yet. We're 2 weeks in. We talked about the offense taking a few games to get things worked out. So, that's where that's at for me. We're also going to give our bounce back player of the week picks this week. And I'm taking, who did I say I was taking? Ian Thomas, I think is what I said I was taking. You picked him in your fantasy flyer to get his over projection. And I agree with that because last week he dropped a great pass from Cam Newton in the end zone.
Yep.
And I feel like, Greg Olsen out, he's going to have to step up. Didn't really see that last week, and a lot of hope was held out for him. I feel like he could have a big game, come back. My runner-up was C.J. Anderson. Obviously, he had one bounce off his hands, and he got going early. I would like to see him get more touches early on when the game's close anyway. So we'll see about that. But Ian Thomas is my bounce-back player of the week.
My bounce-back player is Devin Funchess.
Okay.
He's gonna catch those balls when it needs to be caught, and he's going to make the clutch play this week. I think it was time to get a bad game, out of his system, and now it's time for us to show that he is wide receiver one.
Yeah, and like we said, he caught 7 of 9 targets last week for 77 yards. So I know some people are saying, "Dude, how is that a bounce back?" And it's mainly just through the first 2 weeks. He hasn't looked great, and he has dropped some balls, and they were good balls. It wasn't like they were tough. So. Really hoping he gets back in the groove and shows what he did during that spurt last year before the injury after the KB trade. Ken Duncombe asking any word on Bird and Samuels. We were talking about that to open the show, Ken. And Bird was in the limited practice, and Samuels has apparently been doing some workouts with trainers. He's not been back on the field for practice. I would go ahead and expect for him to be held out at least through the bye week. Hopefully, it's precautionary just to give him plenty of rest, and he comes back after that because, he could really be a playmaker on the field for this offense and rotation, and would really love to see him get back. DeRee Sales, I said the other week, what about DJ Moore? Yeah, I mean, early on I wasn't terribly worried about it, but at some point in week 1 is one thing. Week 2, you're still giving them 17 snaps. I at least want to see him go up by a couple. Yep. But especially with the wide receiver, Curtis Samuel and them being out, you'd like to see him get more. Torrey Smith had a touchdown last week, but hasn't really shown a whole lot otherwise. It was a great catch. But props to him for backing up Cam.
Yes, and I wanted to, Ron talked about it. He's like, do it the right way. I loved it. I loved that he went right after Casey, and I was mad that there was offsetting penalties afterwards, but I like that he is going to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, and Ron did say that he was happy to see Torrey Smith and other guys come in there and defend Cam. That's what he wants to see. It's your teammate, it's your quarterback. Back him up. He was more so just hinting around at the fact, look, we don't want to get multiple penalties on us, lose yards, and then potentially lose our quarterback on top of it. But yeah, that hit was absolutely trash. I can't have it. Thanks, Torrey Smith, for sticking it up. Hopefully,
and what they announced fines tomorrow.
Yes, and the word is Kazee is not going to get a fine.
See, and I feel like,
and neither is Torrey Smith. But Torrey Smith did say if he gets fined, he's going to donate it to Hurricane Florence.
And I feel like with this new rule, I think they see the ejection as enough, but something like that, I don't think it's enough. If you're headhunting a sliding quarterback, of course, if it's in the pocket or they're running like we've seen in preseason, then those hits are fine with just the ejection. But for something like that, I feel like the NFL really needs to buckle down and throw the ejection and the fine on top of it.
And see, this got brought up on Twitter actually, and somebody brought up, Thomas Davis got suspended for his hit last year. And Kazee didn't get suspended for this, but Thomas Davis was a repeat offender. That's the reason he got suspended. And I saw a couple people saying Kazee was a repeat offender because he was the one that injured Marcus Lee in the preseason. But that was a clean tackle to me. He tackled him at the legs, and his helmet banged his knee. Didn't look like a cheap shot to me, so I'm not going to go off on Kazee there. But that shot was absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
But they're out here. They're not even going to fine him. They eject him from the game, which I guess is like a half suspension maybe, depending on when it is in the game. But the other part of that is you're out here suspending guys for smoking a natural plant for 4 games. Like, who are they hurting other than themselves? And I mean, the team, if the team decides to suspend them, that's one thing. That's their disciplinary. The NFL, on the other hand, come on. You're out here making up all these rules to protect guys, especially this new sack rule, and you're not going to start – I mean, you're not going to eject these players for, not eject, but suspend these players for these things and not even fine them half the time.
Yeah. When they get ejected, are they losing any game pay?
I don't know.
See, I don't know if that's any of the rule. But going back to the smoke and the natural plant, the smartest player to do it is Josh Gordon this week. He got himself out of Cleveland and has now gone to the New England Patriots, and that's scary.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. It's to be determined. But that I don't like Tom Brady and Josh Gordon on the same. No, same offense. No, it doesn't sound like a good idea. What were they thinking? But Johann's chiming in. I think our old line played pretty good considering. Just don't go back to Amini, please. I read Greg is working out, which is nice. We just need more burn for Bird. Samuel Wright. Yes, Greg was working out as part of his rehab. He's still expected to be a couple weeks out. Obviously, we got the week 4 bye week coming up next week after this game. We'll talk more about that in the post-game show after the game Sunday.
And I saw a comment that TD comes back after the bye.
Yes.
TD will come back. He has 4 games. So he'll come back after week 5. He'll come back week 6. Because he's got 4 games, not 4 weeks. Because we have a bye week 4.
Yeah. Okay. We looked into this earlier before the season. That got brought up, and I can't remember because I was on Twitter talking about it. But that may be a good point as well.
Because it's 4 games.
Yeah, 4 games, not 4.
Not 4 weeks.
Let's see. Derek DeResale saying you smoke weed and you're out a whole year, and saying they should fine Kazee. Yeah, I agree. And Antoine bringing up the Antonio Brown on Carolina Panthers after. That got way blown out of proportion. I was on Twitter having fun with it, but it ain't going to happen.
Which I now finding out it's a personal issue. We don't know what the personal issue, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, diva number 2.
Antonio Brown and Big Ben are about to go off on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, guys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be 2-1 after this week, and it will be Fitz tragic, not Fitz magic.
You think, think the magic's gone?
Fitz tragic. Yeah, I'm rim shot myself there. I don't know. I'm hoping so, but I really feel like all this stuff that went down this week. AB has whined about targets and stuff in the past years, and then goes off the next week. And with all the stuff that's going around, I just feel like he's going to be saying, "Feed me." So, and Big Ben's been terrible to start the year. I mean, he's got to get it together at some point, at least for one game, right? So hopefully that's against the Bucs.
And speaking of the Bucs and Fitzmagic, I thought it was funny that Jameis Winston sitting on his couch is texting all of his wide receivers. You know, good game, but he thinks he's going to come back and win that role. I think if this week Fitzmagic goes off again and has a clean game again, or even a decent game, Winston's lost his job.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what I brought up. Well, we're talking about NFC South now before we get back to the Panthers, but I definitely feel like if Fitzpatrick, but this is him though. He does this, and then
at the beginning of the season, yes,
and then he goes down. He does this with a new team. He starts off great, and then he goes down. Now this is really he's done extremely well with the Bucs, obviously. But if the Bucs are doing well and they decide to say trade Jameis Winston, what are you going to do? Fitzpatrick isn't going to be your franchise quarterback. He's up there in age. Yeah, he might be giving you a good season, but if you have a good season, you make the playoffs, who are you? I mean, that kind of puts you further back in the draft for a future, but they're still saying Jameis Winston is their franchise guy. So they come back on a short – Jameis comes back on a suspension. He's on a short week. They have a Monday game going into a Sunday game. They've already said he probably won't play that week. He'll probably go in, I think it's week 5. So that'll be something to watch. But like I said, I got the Steelers winning that one this week. Big Ben and AB going off. J-Dub on YouTube Live saying, Bengals pass defense is not good. Our wide receivers should step it up this Sunday. Yes, the secondary is not necessarily what I'm worried about with the Bengals. It is the pass rush getting to Cam and this offensive line right now is just worrisome to me. Well, to both of us. And T-Cope saying Demir Bird could be key on YouTube. Yep, we'll see. But, guys, we're hitting our hour mark here. So, once again, thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and follow us right here on, well, I say right here. We are now live on YouTube and Facebook Live simultaneously. But like and follow us on Facebook if you're watching us there so you get notified of all of our stuff. Follow us on Twitter at Panthersaurus. We tweet during the game. I'm constantly up there talking to people throughout the week and breaking down some stuff. And then watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, baby. Keep them coming. We'll be live with the post-game show every week there as well, following every game. So do that.
And I do get to watch the game this Sunday. That I was.
Yeah, Billy didn't think he was going to make the game this week. He had some stuff going on come up at work, but Florence, if there was one decent thing that came out of Florence, I guess that was it. It got pushed back to January on a Friday. So he'll be here, guys. We won't be without him. But checking out comments one last time. Dries saying y'all have a great show. Appreciate it. Thank y'all so much. For Panthers. So, we didn't do our damn predictions, man. We got caught up with NFC South stuff.
Yeah.
What is your prediction for the game?
They put up 34 in 2 weeks, both games. I would say we hold them to 24, and we score
24.
27.
Ooh. Giving them a lot of points. You're going off last week's performance.
I'm going off two weeks, looking at what they've done. And, of course, I haven't watched the games, just knee-jerk reaction to their stats.
Yeah.
I give them 24 points, and we score 27.
Okay. I am saying the Panthers are going to win 20-13. I'm taking the Panthers. Billy and I, like I said, we didn't get to do the preview show last week, but we put up a post saying we both picked Atlanta to win the game last week. I'm taking the Panthers this week, and I'm taking it on a score of 20 to 20-16. I'm giving them 16 points, but I'm giving them 3 field goals, 1 touchdown, or 4 field goals, 1 touchdown. No, not a safety in there. It's not a safety, guys. No. So 2016 Panthers. And a fun fact that the Riot Report actually put out, I think it was Josh Klein with the guys over there. When the Bengals have scored over 25 points, they are like 42-1. So we need to hold them to under 25 points, Billy. And you just said 24, and you know what? Damn it, I would take that if we get a win. So hopefully y'all drop y'all's predictions down in there, and we'll see. Nobody liked obviously you didn't like our predictions. We didn't like predicting the Falcons were going to beat us last week, but drop your predictions down there in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Johans, this stays here on Facebook, and it stays on YouTube as soon as the show is over, so you can rewatch as soon as it's over. It just has to load to Facebook.
Yep. Johans asking, he missed most of the show. How can he rewatch it? Yeah, guys, you can, like Billy just said, it will reload up here to Facebook, and I also post it right at the top with our featured videos. It'll be the first one that pops up, and on YouTube as well. And also, if you listen to podcasts, the show is on the podcast form. You can hear it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Google Podcasts, really, and TuneIn Radio, all of those, whichever one you prefer. Johans asking, oh, yeah, I guess that's what you were just answering again. So y'all be sure to check that out. Check us out. Post-game show Sunday. We'll be talking about a Panthers win this time, Billy.
Hopefully, yes.
Panthers victory. That's what we're going to be doing. For Panther Source, I am Trip Morgan.
I'm Billy Harless.
Y'all keep pounding.